can act on such whims. It's a very
Okay, all right. Okay, so for the people who might have just joined us right now, let me just reiterate the situation, right? Now, we don't officially know whether the transfer has happened to Allahabad High Court or not. We are assuming it could have happened. There is no official notification to say that the collegium has sat or certain concerned officers under either the CJI have sat. There's no official information. This is based on information that we are receiving, but there is no official statement. And unless there's an official statement for which a judge has to be informed of its transfer orders before we are informed for sure. So let's take care. The second, what Justice Mittal is referring to is something called the Judges Protection Act. Now, the current version of the act dates back to 1985. The original version is 170 years old. Within this, if you're a High Court judge, the collegium, which is the CJI, Chief Justice, they can only transfer you, they cannot remove you. The only procedure for removal is a presidential order mandated by an Act of Parliament, and the Act of Parliament requires either 100 Rajya Sabha MPs or 50 Lok Sabha MPs to move a motion to request a committee then sits and investigates, then returns the matter to the Parliament of India, where a majority of 2/3 is required to pass such a resolution to be presented before the President for action. It is a complex process, and there are many reasons you can argue that it should be a complex process. So I don't want to have a baby and bathwater problem, but at the same time address that yes, indeed, if anything is true, and we don't know at this point of time because there's no official statement, but if anything is true, then what happens next? But first, let's try to establish what has indeed taken place. Let me open up this conversation further. Justice Mittal, stay with me. Dr. Swati Jindal, who's an advocate on record of the Supreme Court, is on the broadcast with us. Now, Swati ji, now I'm taking care because yes, we have a paucity of a statement by a constitutional authority telling us exactly what has happened. The only thing we know is that something serious has happened and the CJI is seized of the matter. That's all we know right now, officially. Now, if we assume that something serious has happened, what are the recourse available to the Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court? What kind of inquiry can he constitute? Which agency conducts that inquiry? What is possible?
See, the inquiry has already been ordered by the CJI. That we know, that much is there. It was a shocker when we all went through the newspapers in the morning today. Indeed, a shocker that there is a proposed transfer now. The transfer, as we all know, is still, the approval is still awaited from the union. And in the meantime, there are also protests that are, that have come on record from the Allahabad Bar Association, alleging that, this is not the right way. In fact, some of the learned judges of the collegium have also said that, looking into the seriousness of the matter, only a transfer would not do. That is why this inquiry is now being talked about, where the Chief Justice Upadhyay has been, the Delhi High Court Chief Justice Upadhyay has been asked to initiate an inquiry. Now, like we all know, we've been discussing this since the very inception of this particular talk, that nothing is on record yet. And because the matter is, under consideration, we are not at all in a position to say anything about what the procedure will be, how it will unfold, because this is not an everyday occurrence, you see. This is something that is, even if you look up the record, you will find just a couple of names like my learned friends here have been enumerating. So how it will unfold is, we will have to wait and watch how and what happens as on now. But even though we talk about impeachment, we also talk about a transfer, there is also another process, if I may call it, that we might have overlooked, and that is the process of resignation. Now, this has also been viewed so many times before, considering the importance of this post. We all understand that this is a constitutional post which carries a heavy burden with it, a burden of ethics and whatnot. So there is another means out of it, or another way to tackle it, and that is also an option that I think needs to be scrutinized in the light of what has transpired.
Okay. Now, obviously, you're all jurists. So, any individual who has to face allegations of whichever nature, those allegations cannot be you and me. They have to come from an authority or somebody. Now, a judge, to the best of my knowledge, Swati ji, cannot be sued by a civil person. You and I cannot go to the judiciary and file a suit against a sitting judge. They are protected against this. So, it has to be under the direction of either the collegium or the CGI. It can't be any of us demanding an inquiry.
See, as of now, what had happened, from what I know of the situation, as of now, the first step that was taken was an immediate order of transfer. That is what Justice Mittal had said, that that is something that can be done. However, there was a protest that was raised by, from what I know, again, this is all hearsay and what we have heard through all the grapevine and all the reporting agencies. The objection that was raised by the other Supreme Court Collegium judges was that only a transfer is not sufficient. And looking at the seriousness of the charges, or we can't even call it charges per se, the allegations or whatever the reports have come out, it was said that only a transfer would not do, and we must, start a probe. Now, in that aftermath, there is a talk about the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court being ordered to initiate that probe. Now, what has come of it, whether it has been formally done, initiated already, or is it just in the pipeline, that I wouldn't be able to say for sure about what has been done.
Okay, let me get Justice Mittal back into this conversation.